Hey guys, welcome back to episode 3 of All the Mod 7 to the Sky. We worked on getting a better power source last episode, and we built this bigger reactor to give us around 7,500 RF per tick. We used some of the power to invest in applied energistics and digitize our storage, and made some upgrades to our 7 system, including adding basalt, skystone, crushed netherrack, and crushed endstone. Towards the end of last episode, we also got into flux networks, which should allow us to wirelessly transport the power over to where it needs to be, and I just got done implementing this brand new power line that we have at the back of all of our civs. This is just to alleviate some of the strain from these magmatic dynamos. These can only produce a measly 80 RF per tick for each setup, but I did want to keep these integrated because there's no reason to remove these, right? It's just free power. We had some instances here where some energy pipe meets universal pipe, and these things do not connect together. So to bridge the gap, I just added in a mechanism energy cube, which also serves as a little power buffer in between each setup. So the main reason we added in this power line is to be able to transfer more energy to each of these machines. So we're going to add a flux point on the end. Only transfers 256 RF by default, but I think if we give it an upgrade, yeah, we're up to 32,768 RF per tick, which is way more than enough. Let's make sure we set the flux point. And this way we should be able to craft up a bunch of mechanism speed upgrades and really push the rates at which we generate our input items. A fully maxed machine looks like it only uses 200 RF per tick, at least if we have max energy upgrades on there as well. But that's really not too bad. There is but one thing we have to be careful of, and that is our uranium fuel usage. As of course the power that we input from there comes from the reactor, and the reactor is fueled with uranium. But yeah, it looks like the igneous extruder is able to keep up with these crushers here, which is a good sign. Yeah, this is really not a bad speed of input items. And it's not even maxed out either. We can actually upgrade these into factories, meaning they'll process more at once. But we've already spent a very long time on those civ setups. I think it's time we take a break from those. Oh, I don't think this is gonna work. Nope. We're in a creative world, by the way. This is not the LP. What I'm trying to do is decide on a block that we want to use for our base. And I really want to use this fungus. That's a very weird spelling. But yeah, this thing, these fungus planks, these things look awesome. The only trouble is there's no recipe for any of this stuff. And I'm kind of afraid that it's unobtainable. Okay, it seems that fungus is out of the question, but I think I found what we're going to use here. Grey concrete from Chipped. Yeah, there's a few different variations of this grey concrete that we can go for. Lots of different texture options, and to go along with it, I think we're going to pick red terracotta. I mentioned last time that I want to completely overhaul the base. I really dislike this netherrack, but I still like the idea of using red. And I found that red terracotta was awesome when I used it in the vanilla series. However, this means we've now got some challenges to work towards. You see, we do want to automate both of these blocks. The red terracotta requires regular terracotta and red dye. We could trade with villagers, but that's no fun. Or there's whatever this thing is, the painting machine. Seems unnecessary. And the grey concrete means that we need sand, gravel, and grey dye. That's going to give us the powder, and then we somehow have to solidify that into regular concrete. There is also EMC on this, but this is a no EMC run. At least where possible to get the ATM star. So similar to our civ setups, this is going to be a very roundabout way to get what we want. I've been doing a little bit of material processing, trying to get things smelted. Oh yeah, look at all this stuff. We don't need all this, but it's good to get batch crafting, as I mentioned last episode. And the majority of this concrete and terracotta factory is going to be made with create. We're going to need some linear chassis, some mechanical belt. Let's just make a full stack, as much as we can get. If we're going to be doing create, we do need a way to get a lot of brass. And we can get that by mixing copper and zinc dust. No, we can't. Oh yeah, it's 3 to 1. Yeah, we can. We'll do it all. And a stack of the ingots will run through our multi-servo press to make them into plates. We got a bunch of iron plates already made up here, and we'll use those to make electron tubes. We do need polished rose quartz, which fortunately there is an enrichment chamber recipe for this. The regular rose quartz we're getting from sifting whatever this thing's doing, netherrack. Yeah, 4 stacks through the enrichment chamber. I did give this thing some upgrades, didn't I? Yeah, a few. While those things are processing, we can also grab the cart assembler, some powered rail. I guess we'll need a minecart as well for this. Portable storage interface, we need one of these. That also used our last andesite casing. And to make this stuff, we have to right-click stripped logs. So you know what, let's see if we can set up a little mini temporary factory to get this going. We're going to need quite a lot of andesite casings. That's right, we'll need a source of rotational power as well. I think we'll use war wheels. Although I believe in this pack there is an addition which means we can use RF and turn RF into rotational force. Crafting the motor though is going to be a little ways off, so I think we'll just stick with the water wheels for now. Hey, look who we got again. He's back with absolutely nothing. Yeah, we got the leads this time. And a quest complete. Oh nice, it works. Alright, it took me a little while to get this all configured. We have an input chest here for, I believe, any log works. It goes onto the belt, gets cut down by this mechanical saw to strip it. And when the deployer stamps the log, we get the andesite casing, and that is just buffered in this little storage drawer here. Very quick and dirty setup, probably going to be removed by the end of the episode. But it should give us the casings that we need to build the factory to get the blocks to build our base. Yeah. Oh my goodness, look at this. I didn't know this was possible. I mean, this guy showed up again. I knew that was possible, but look what he sells. This is the good apple, right? It is. It has a recipe in this pack, I guess. But I am definitely buying what you're selling. He's only going to sell one, isn't he? May I present the beginnings of our block factory right here. So this has been through several iterations. There's quite a lot going on here. Let me take you through this actually. So we start with a create tree farm here. This is a minecart design. This is our cart assembler that we crafted earlier on. So the way this thing works is these parts are all glued together. We got 8 mechanical saws which will cut any wood that it comes across. Wow, you couldn't actually write that. Wow, the tree just grew right in front of me. And this contraption will automatically collect the items as well. We don't have to have any sort of item collection. All the drops when the saws cut the trees will end up in these barrels. And that happens because this forms a multi-block. It forms a contraption, I think Create calls it. And then once the tree is cut down, we need some way to replant, so we have deployers holding saplings there. And that just takes from the internal inventory of the contraption, i.e. the barrels. And then once it hits the end here, you can see that it connects to this portable storage interface. Then we have a pipe which goes into a storage controller, or a drawer controller. And that's just a very easy way to collect saplings, sticks and logs. And I think you can farm pretty much anything like this. You can farm crops like this as well. So stage 2, after we have the logs, we're not doing anything with the sticks or saplings yet, but these can be useful. We can do quite a lot with these actually. We can turn the saplings into biomass. However, we want to smelt the logs into charcoal, and we're actually just using the logs as fuel. I experimented around with this wireless heat transmitter, which can actually allow us to use redstone. I don't know, we'll see how fast the tree farm is. However, this thing can only output if we have greater than 500. That's done with this inventory checker, which checks the amount in the drawer. And this item pipe only extracts if it receives a redstone signal. So it means it will keep a bare minimum of 500, or whatever number we want to set in the drawer. And again, one of the principles that I've learned from playing many mod packs is you want to build buffers wherever you can. So at every step along the way, I want to have some way to buffer the items. And it just means that we can access them later on if we need them for crafting or whatnot. After we get our charcoal though, that is then sent to create crushers. And we are doing that using this XNet controller. Actually, we're not yet. I forgot to set this. I originally was using these item pipes everywhere, but these get very spaghetti and messy. With XNet, it's so powerful. I haven't used this since, I think, Enigmatica, like 2 years ago. Oh yeah, and we have to give this thing power as well. Here. So for XNet, we want to grab the contents from the storage controller and place it onto this belt here. And then from the storage controller, we want XNet item. We want to create a channel that's going to be on extract. And we also want to filter it since there's multiple items in the drawer network. So we want only charcoal to be extracted. And then this we want to go onto the mechanical belt. This will be on insert, so it should automatically place it on here. Maybe these things don't connect to the belt directly. Yeah, it seems that way. I just added a smart chute above, which will drop any. It basically acts like a hopper. This whole crate contraption over this side is powered with this little electric motor I mentioned earlier. Only costs 8 RF per tick, 8 FE per tick, to generate 256 stress units. That's super cheap. So we have a bunch of gearboxes here to get everything going the right way. And when you crush charcoal with create, you get a 10% chance at grey dye, which is what we're after. You also get a 100% chance at black dye. And that's really the best odds I could find for both grey and black dye. Plus, I think it'll look really awesome. Apologies for this long section of explanation. I hope you guys are following along. Hopefully this is not too boring, but I find this sort of stuff fascinating. So yeah, once we have our grey dye, I also want to supplement the grey dye crafting by crafting together black dye and white dye. So I added a drawer here for bone meal. We get bone meal from one of our sifting setups over here. Eventually we'll move the bone meal over automatically with applied energistics. I'm assuming you can put storage buses on these controllers. I hope you can. Let me set the controller here. We want to send the bone meal into an enrichment chamber. We also have to make sure all the machines here have energy, which we can also distribute via these network connectors on XNet. This time as XNet energy, I believe. And we can insert that into the enrichment chamber. We've got a formulaic assemblator here. And the controller's already touching the flux point, so we don't need to distribute it here. Whenever you put bone meal through the enrichment chamber, it actually gives you 2 white dye. So we're squeezing out every bit of efficiency here. Not that it's really necessary. We could have went the flour route. There's lots of different ways we could get white dye. All of this is unnecessary. But the fact that it's so unnecessary and overcomplicated makes it way more fun. That's kind of going to be the spirit of the series. Why do things the easy way? So once we have our white dye, we want to automatically send that down. That goes into a formulaic assemblator. This machine is basically just a crafting table which takes RF and it will automatically craft for you. So we need a crafting formula. I think we put that in here. And we want to set the recipe white and black dye. Encode formula. I think we want stock control on, meaning that it won't over accept one or the other type of item and jam up the inputs. Put it on auto mode and it will automatically craft us more grey dye. One of the problems we could potentially run into here is not leaving ourselves enough black dye. Because what this is going to do now is send all of the black dye in here and craft it into grey. But I think we can fix that with applied energistics later using a level emitter. Then we can just send the output automatically from the machine. We don't have to go through XNet for this, since the drawer is right below. And speaking of the drawer below, this is actually an ender drawer, which acts like an ender chest. It's linked to this one over here. I actually love these things. It's going to give us problems if we attach storage buses to both of these controllers. So now on the left hand side with the grey dye, we can craft that in another formulaic assemblator using gravel and sand. And this is how we get our concrete powder, our grey concrete powder, which is stored in this drawer. We're making more gravel and sand using more crushers, similar to what we have over next to our sieves. And again, round the back here, we're just using XNet to transport everything. So we're actually most of the way there now. We need to get this concrete powder and somehow wash it. I'm thinking that we go via create and we bulk wash this into regular grey concrete. And once we connect this last shaft back here, not like that, horizontally, we should end up seeing concrete powder on the belt here, and eventually it's going to turn itself into regular concrete. Come on. Do it. There we go, there we go. And it's got a filter on this brass tunnel here so that it only allows regular concrete and not the powder. And we even managed to get this all looking symmetrical. Look at this. This is going to be so satisfying when we convert all this to concrete. Oh wow, it's actually converted all the powder we had. We had like 800 in here. I stepped away for like 5 minutes and it's converted it all. I think that's because it does half a stack at a time. You can actually set how much extract you want from this XNet controller. So we're extracting from the drawer controller back there. And that's going into the belt, or the tunnel here, which joins the belt. We're pulling half a stack at a time. And that once you blow an encased fan through water, you get this sort of blue particles and it will convert it into concrete. Once the brass tunnel senses that there's regular concrete, it lets it through to the depot, and then we just have another XNet connection which brings it back around, and it gets stored in its final place in this drawer right here. I told you this was going to be a roundabout way of getting what we want. But the idea now is that we switch out pretty much all of the stone with this version of concrete. It's going to look so much better. And I believe we do have the exchanging gadget in this, right? Which wait a second, what is this? Oh no. Oh no. All the watium? Okay, we're not going to deal with that right now. This was only half of our challenge. We still have to make terracotta. Oh yeah, and going back to what I said earlier, I did actually build in a buffer for white dye, instead of just going directly from the enrichment chamber, which will actually balance out the look since we have this extra one here for the concrete. But yeah, how in the world are we going to get red dye and terracotta? I don't really feel like using mystical agriculture. That's kind of a boring way to go about things. We have some extra decisions to make here. I'm actually not sure. And terracotta as well. There's not really an easy way to get this. Probably the best bet is to smelt clay. Okay, I think I have a plan here. Please don't fall. We need to build down. This is so horrible above the void. Here. Yep, exactly. You know, it might not be such a bad idea to invest in some flight. I don't know what options we have in this. We have Britannia, so we have the Flugel Tiara, I guess. Anyways, what I would like to do here is actually use these stone barrels to generate clay. I would like them to be 1 block below the floor, like this. We can get clay this way if we pump in water and also dust, which means that we also have to come up with a source of water and dust. We should be able to use the sink from cooking for blockheads. And instead of going with more mechanism crushers, I think we might go with, oh, we're out of redstone. Might switch over to using thermal for this, just as a bit of a change, just to see which one's better here. Honestly, I don't think the speed really matters that much. Yeah, I guess we'll need 3 of these things. Cobble to gravel, gravel to sand, sand to dust. What's going on over there? There we go. I think it's just a visual bug. Yep, we can give these things energy pipes in the top, connected to a flux point. On the configuration, we want to set the first one as input on the back, output on the right, and automatic output enabled. Next one receives from the left, passes on to the right, and the last one will output the bottom. Once we hook up to a cobblestone generator, this thing should already start. Oh yeah, this is slow. We're going to need some upgrades on these machines. Actually, to keep things neat, we'll export from the backside on this pulverizer here. That way we can insert into a drawer in the middle and keep everything nice and symmetrical. And we should be, once again, making ourselves dust. Want to make sure we lock this drawer, and oh, we're getting flint from this as well as a chance output, I guess. That could cause some issues. Although I think there is a workaround for that. For now, we want to distribute all of this dust into all of these barrels down here, and also give these things water with the sink. I'm slowly falling in love here with XNet. It's such a good mod. It's kind of a second place to Ender IO, which we don't have in this version. Where are we going here? Yeah, over there. Yep, blue connector, and I think we can just use network cable rather than a connector to connect all this together. It's a bit cheaper. We'll need a controller here again for this. I think we'll just put it right in the middle. And also a connection for the sink. I know that these things can actually fill up from the rain, but we don't want to have to rely on the weather to produce our terracotta. And at some point, I really want to stop weather, because it's really annoying every time it rains. That's a very interesting way for the game to manage this. It looks like it picks one at a time to fill it with water and then insert clay. Maybe we have to increase our rate of water distribution? Maybe we just reduce the number of ticks each operation? Oh yeah, that's better. I think we've probably run out of clay though. We need to upgrade those machines. But from here, I have all the clay going into another ender drawer. That is going to be linked to somewhere over here. That has to be smelted into terracotta and then crafted with red dye. Oh, we got a grave this time. My own farm pushed me off the edge. Let's see if we can get that stuff back. We should be right on the money here. I hope. Oh, maybe 1 block off. I may have to swim up again. Wait, did we get it? We got it! Okay, we don't need to pillar or anything. Okay, that was weird. Let's continue. Okay, so right now everything is working at a snail's pace. It is super slow. But basically all the machines here, the crushers, the assemblicators, and especially those pulverizers over there, do need some upgrades. Before we do any upgrades though, I would like to get everything operational. And I think we're just about there, so I added 2 more farms on the left and right sides of this tree farm. Not sure yet what we're going to use all this farming space for. Wait, that's not the right way. I don't think it actually matters, but I want it to be symmetrical. And when you're making farms that are next to each other like this, you have to make sure that your contraption... Wait a second. I was going to say, if you have linear chassis next to each other, it'll try to pull the whole thing. And it doesn't go that far in range. So you need to make sure that you have secondary linear chassis, which I think behave the same way. It's just they won't connect to the primary ones. But actually this one is irrelevant since we have a border line here between the 2 farms. Yeah, and on this side. This is irrelevant. But when you're setting up these farms, it's actually really simple. You just have to have the cart assembly, then the chassis, then the harvesters. It's harvesters this time rather than the saws, which can harvest crops. We need some storage space so we can add a barrel. We need a portable storage interface as well on the back. And actually we're short one. We need one for this to connect to. These chain drives are in the way. I'm hoping that we can pull out of the storage interface from the side, because we have to place the other one here for it to connect to. But once you get to this step, you just have to add the minecart. You also need to make sure you have controller rails pointing the way that you want the minecart to go. We got 1 on each side and enough powered rails for the minecart to reach the other side of the farm. Then we have to superglue all of this together. So I think we select the cart assembly first, and then just select each corner, and that should superglue everything together, including the storage interface back there. And same on both sides. On this side, I actually have it set up though so that the 2 storage interfaces connect to each other, and we've got, for now, an ender drawer down there. Although I think long term we're actually going to connect it to that drawer network over there next to the tree farm outputs. But since we just have the one thing in the farm right now, which is beetroot, we just have it going into this ender drawer. And the thing we're actually short on right now is dirt. It's not so easy to get in this. Anyways, if we give the cart assembly a redstone signal, it should enable the farm. And that should have harvested the beetroot. Perfect. It's going to connect to the storage interface and put it in this drawer. And over here, I have a similar XNet set up to get all the items to where they need to be. So this sends the beetroot into the enrichment chamber, which gives the most yield for red dye. That again, we give a buffer, and then it's all sent into the formulaic assemblycator along with the terracotta, which we smelt in a furnace. And that gives us red terracotta. Finally, finally, oh my goodness. It's slow as well, as I mentioned. Very, very slow. But we can finally start to build our base, and I think there's facades here for these X-net connectors. Oh yeah, and this secondary output of flint that we got from this pulverizer, we can actually void with the auxiliary cactus. We have way too much flint from the civs, so we definitely do not need to keep this. We should make sure to void upgrade this beetroot drawer, and I think there's probably a few others that we need void upgrades in as well. But yeah, since all the automation is now set up, I think I'm going to take some time and upgrade these machines, and also do a bit of cleaning up around here. We've made quite the mess. Oh yeah, this is looking much better, right? This is much more what I had in mind when I said I wanted a cool base for this series. It's actually relatively simple, all things considered. It's really only 3 blocks. I went with this andesite casing from Create, which means we'll definitely have to fix our automation over there. Yeah, it's still going, but yeah, that needs a proper home. I had to actually switch to mechanism. Those auxiliary things didn't actually work. It seems we were still getting flint and whatnot. It looks like I forgot this connection here. Yeah. Mechanism reigns superior, I guess. There's still some stone back here, but this isn't really a place we'll be going very often. And as for the farm area, I think I'm going to wait for the exchanging gadget before I start switching all of that out. To get all of these chipped variants of grey concrete, we do need to use the masons table. And as far as I know, there is no way to automate this. And the table is 1x2, not even 1x3 or anything. Because right now, to get the concrete the way we want it, we have to go into here and manually click the variant that we want. And it's not even listed either. It doesn't even say like variant 13 or whatever. So all the way at the original part of our base here, I'd switched out most of these corner blocks. I used like these sort of square blocks on the around all the borders. These were all the wrong variant. It had like a slight crack in it. But yeah, I think I got most of this already finished off. Oh yeah, and check this out. We need a way to hide these pipes cables. As far as I know, there's no facade for those. There is, however, these framed trap doors. And instead of spruce, actually, we don't even need one here. Yeah, instead of using the spruce, we can just keep using concrete here. How awesome is that? I've noticed our reactor here is actually holding up quite well. The automation to turn it on and off does work, and we actually haven't really consumed that much uranium. I've actually only refilled this once with a couple of stacks, and it looks like there's still quite a bit in there as well, so yeah, it looks like we're good for power, although this thing is going to get moved for sure. Anyways, with that, I think we're just about wrapping up here. Next time is going to be all about getting connected. I really want to move our applied energistic system and get things all hooked up properly with storage buses and get some proper automation on the go. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode.